I think I've got a theme tonight. Hey, ni hao. I've definitely got a theme tonight. It's materials hell. That's where I am. This is what I'm doing. I've torn apart my workbook again. And I'm doing two new chapters this week and 2 review chapters this week. I added to my, this is going to be an update video on my HSK prep with the book and the vocabulary. Basically, everything except listening. Yeah, so I had my 6 weeks that I stupidly gave myself for the HSK2. By the way, I finally read the information. I kind of do things ass backwards sometimes, a lot of times. And I finally read the introduction to the HSK2 test. I assumed that since HSK1 was pretty easy to complete in the fill in the blank, circle the right answer kind of way, in the receptive skill way, not the production skill way, I assumed that HSK2 would be a similar jump. It's not. It's not gargantuan, because I am able to do the receptive stuff, which is, again, understanding what's happening basically, and not necessarily producing anything. Definitely not producing anything. There's still pinyin, and it's still pick the answer out of a list of answers. So it's not production at all. It's not even writing yet. It's not even just Hansa characters. It's Hansa? I was just going to say Hansa. Where the hell did that come from? Anyway, so I assumed it was going to be a similar jump. It is not. It is a much bigger jump. For reasons I'll tell you in a second, I missed a lot of the grammar explanation, which I probably wouldn't have absorbed anyway, but I missed a lot of that in HSK1. So I'm kind of catching up to that. And I imagine that's going to, for me, that generally takes repetition, not necessarily studying. So I'm just going with the repetition every day. And eventually the patterns will stick or they won't. And if they don't, that's because I've died, because I'm not stopping. So they're just going to have to stick at some point. Whether I understand them or not, I'm just going to go with repetition and patterns because nothing else has worked for me as far as language learning my entire freaking life. So I finally read the stuff about the test itself and then cried that I only moved it from May till June. It is currently May 9th. The HSK test is June 10th. Here's what it says. Number 1, targets. The HSK Level 2 test is targeted at students who have learned Chinese 2 to 3 class hours a week for 2 semesters, 1 academic year, in parentheses, as if this is a parentheses that I'm doing, and have mastered 300 most frequently used Chinese words and relevant grammar. Now, the 300 words I'm almost done with. I actually they have a wonderful list of the words in the back of the course book for HSK2, so that's already paid for itself. I mean, it was a $10 textbook, and the workbook was the equivalent of $10. And the workbook, which I find a million times more useful, was like half that price. So maybe $15 for the course book and the workbook, and it comes with audio for both, although right now I'm just using the audio for the workbook because that is plenty to keep me busy. So the 300 words, not a problem. As far as recognizing, again, I'm not producing anything in HSK2, and although I will be practicing going from English to Chinese at some point soon, probably after the HSK2 test, because I've accidentally crammed too much into these 6 weeks. The vocabulary I'm very comfortable with. The word order is driving me crazy. And just recognizing stuff in the listening from the speed of that which it's happening with the word order that is very confusing to me. These things are challenging. But the words themselves are not too bad. And of the 100, it's supposed to be 150, but I counted it because I do that, and it's 147. The list I was using to make my flashcards, prior to finding this list, I matched them up, and other than 2 vocabulary words, they're completely identical. So thank you, Sensible Chinese. I knew you were an awesome site. Thank you, Kyle. I knew you were an awesome site to begin with, and this just really, really, really confirms that Kyle knows what the fuck he's doing. Oh, sorry. Kyle really knows what he's doing. I think I just ruined my video. Anyway, can we just ignore that for a second? Let's all admit that children won't be watching this channel anyway. This is not fun. This is not like, woot woot, ni hao ma. I'm delirious tonight. Anyway, so Kyle knows what he's doing, but since I'm paying for the materials, I'm switching over to the vocabulary list that's in the book. And I then, after I matched the 2, which took far longer than I would like, I noticed that of the 147 on the course book list, I only have 27 more flashcards for HSK2 to make. Wow. And I only have maybe 3 or 4 new ones sitting in the new pile that I haven't incorporated into the working levels right now. So that means I have about 30 new cards to learn from the beginning, and then the rest of them are in either levels 1 to 7 right now. So I'm actually doing really well with the vocabulary. It's all of the other stuff, putting it all together, understanding it when I hear it, understanding it when I read it. The reading part's not that hard, because if you can see the vocabulary, then it's fine. And again, they're using the pinyin, so if I forget, I can look at if I forget the Hanzi character, like what word that is, I can look up at the pinyin. I'm trying not to, because I want to read, and I'm going to be reading in the Hanzi characters, clearly not in the pinyin, when I read authentic material someday. Hopefully by the end of this year. So, 1 academic year. Let's go back to that. 2 full semesters, 1 academic year. 2 to 3 class hours a week. So let's think about this. I'm studying solo 1 to 2 hours a day. If we include vocabulary, listening, reading, matching, that kind of thing, all of the stuff from the course book, all of my vocabulary, what else am I doing? I'm not really doing much online other than that. I'm really, really focusing on these materials. So I would say it's a very, very safe 1 to 2 hours, probably more than 1 per day. So if we do 1 hour a day, that's over the course of a year, that would definitely be 2 to 3 class hours a week. Now, are they assuming that university rule that every hour in class you're supposed to be spending what, 2, I used to teach at university, I forget this. Is it 2 or 3 hours outside of class? Are they assuming that you're supposed to have that? I'm assuming yes. So I actually need to triple this number. Oh my god. I've gotten in way over my head for HSK2. Okay. So I started this channel and I started to learn Chinese a year ago, but I spent a lot of time playing with different apps because I would like to make apps at some point in my life, and I spent a lot of time on the radicals, which have been interesting. I spent a lot of time tracing because I really like writing them, and I think all those things are going to come back in a good reinforcement way after I get more vocabulary, but I don't think all of that time counts towards the 1 year studying at a university. Now, in some ways, because I've gone like more focused than sitting in a classroom where you might talk about celebrities for a day, or you might spend way too much time talking about something that's not on the test or not useful, or just, there might be an over explanation of a grammar point instead of using the grammar point. So in some ways I may have gone faster than in the university classroom, and in some ways I may have missed stuff clearly that they probably went over in the university classroom. That would make sense. It really depends on your teacher, the materials, the university, all kinds of things, right? So I guess the only indication to know if I've truly am up to snuff is after a month after I take the test. So July, probably mid-July, I'll probably know if I pass the test, but I first have to take the test. Worst case scenario, it's just kind of pressure cookering me to get more vocabulary so I can speed ahead, and to probably for the listening to get me out of my own way, because the listening is so hard that by doing it, because of my time frame, my 6 weeks that I'm on the 3rd week of, that I'm on the 3rd week of. I also have a week of review after that, so kind of halfway, almost halfway through. It's forcing me to do listening every day, which cannot be a bad thing at all. So worst case scenario, this is really, really motivating me to do some reading, some listening, some vocabulary every day. Every day, every day. If I had longer to take the test, I might get lazy about it. Who knows? Who knows? It doesn't matter. The die has been cast, which is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. It's an Argentine movie, really, really bad title, or really bad translation. But The Die is Cast is a fantastic Argentine movie. It has subtitles. I have obviously seen it in subtitles because I cannot understand Argentine Spanish or any Spanish in rapid form. So that's pretty much it. That's where I stand. I'm on chapter 6. What I meant to say is that in addition to the new chapters that I'm doing every week, I have now review chapters, because I found in HSK 1 that as I was getting further in the book, I was getting frustrated because I always get frustrated because it was getting more difficult, like infinitely more difficult as the chapters went up, which it should. And I noticed that going back and doing the ones that seemed difficult a few weeks prior and doing those, getting through those so quickly and so easily was really helping my confidence with the new stuff. So and it was reviewing the old stuff at the same time. So it was kind of doing a dual purpose of reviewing and giving me the confidence to keep going, because I knew in a few more weeks, those chapters in the latter part that were causing me trouble would be easier. And I already did that for the first time the other day. I start weeks on Sunday. I know some people start weeks on Monday, but on Sunday, I did chapter 1 from the same HSK book, and it was way easier. I had actually written on the side of the book, "This is too hard, I can't even do this listening." And I had done the listening. Did I get it perfect? No, I think I got like 3. Well, wait, I've got it. Yeah, on April 24th, I said, "Can't understand much," and I couldn't even do the activity. I did it the other day, and I got... Did I even check? I didn't check that one. Okay, the first one I didn't check, but I could do it. I should probably check that one to see how many were right. Okay, for the second listening, whoops. For the second listening, I got 3 out of 5, and for the third listening, I got 4 out of 5. So, and that was from April 24th until May 7th. Pretty satisfying. Pretty satisfying. This week, I'm also going to review chapter 2, and I've got that in my booklet here. Hold on, I'm going to actually check that first part and let you know how I did. I carry the transcript and the answers with me. It's probably my shoulders don't hurt more from all of this stuff that I carry around, which is why I've mutilated the chapters like this. Okay, I'll be right back. Holy crap. I got 5 out of 5 on the first part. Oh my god, that is so satisfying. Again, did I understand everything that was happening in every word, in every sentence? No, of course not. But I understood enough to go on April 24th from can't understand much and I couldn't even guess to on May 7th to understanding enough to write down enough keywords and things to look at the picture and kind of get what was happening and to guess or make an educated guess on the right answers for every single one of those 5. So 5 out of 5, 3 out of 5, and 4 out of 5. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So that's why I'm doing the review chapters. So, and those, again, they're kind of easy and inspiring to do because they remind me that in a few weeks, whatever struggles I'm having now will get easier. In a few weeks! That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I am the most impatient person in the world. You know this. I'm super impatient. And to be able to listen to something and just go, I have no idea what that's saying. And then a couple of weeks later, to be able to go, oh yeah, this is what's happening. This is the general idea, or this is exactly what's happening within 2 weeks. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I'm sorry, it didn't even really dawn on me. I have to go at such a hurried pace. It's still enjoyable while I'm doing it, but I'm going at such a fast pace that I don't really have a lot of time to reflect on it until I press record and start talking to you, and then stuff just starts coming out of my mouth, and I realize I think this is working. I think I'm always going to feel snowed under because I love language and I love to play with language, and you have to get to a really high level to play with language and to feel confident and functional and to have a variety of tools in your language toolbox to play with the language. And it's going to take me a really long time to get there, and I've never been patient enough to do that before. And so to see stuff like this and to realize stuff like this makes me think I can get there. Oh my God, how crazy would that be a year or two from now? How crazy would that be a year or two from now if I were doing this video completely in Chinese, or I was writing my own transcripts? I would probably never do that. Even when I can, I probably would never sit down and write my own transcripts to a video. But what if I could just completely understand, like, okay, project 2 years ahead of now, right? Yeah, okay, let's go 2 years ahead. I'm reading either newspaper articles or books, short stories in Chinese, and I'm sharing with you not just the stories, any cultural interesting things that come up, but linguistic things that come up as I'm reading them. What a shift in this channel that would take, right? It would be not just learning the language, although I'd still be learning, but I would shift over into consuming the language and understanding the language and picking apart the interesting differences between the languages from the inside, from understanding the language. That would be like changing scripts. Approved. That's where I see all of this going. Is it's not just language learning and the messy, boring bits and all of that. It's the getting into the language and thinking through that new language. In this case, it just happens to be Putonghua, the Mandarin Chinese, and the beautiful, but sometimes it feels like impenetrable Hanzi characters that go with them. So anyway, I'm feeling a little dreamy today, as you may imagine. I have some pretty cool stuff happening in some other projects that I'm working on, podcast, and so it's bleeding over into my dreaminess about this project as well. I'm feeling really, really hopeful, but there's a lot of work that goes with that hope, and I thank you for coming along for this ride. I can only imagine how painful it is to watch somebody learn such a challenging language, and so thank you. I don't thank you guys enough for watching this stuff. It would be much more awkward if there wasn't a phone in front of me recording this and I was just sitting in the room talking to myself about this as I was studying. That would be cause for some concern. So I appreciate the fact that you're here so I can talk to you about this. Anyway, what is your long-term goal with your language learning? Leave me some messages down below. Let me know where you are, where you're going. Give me a dreaming goal. Where would you really like to be in language or languages that you're learning? Go crazy. Go far, far out. Far, far out. I would love to, honestly, after I do want to read the things I was talking about, but I would also like to hop over onto social media, which I know is crazy, 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 crazy with very informal language. But I'm good at contextualizing language in English, like crazy good with making up stuff in English and figuring things out in English. If that transfers over, if that skill transfers over, That would be amazing. So I would like to read the more formal written stuff, and I want to be able to read what people are posting online too, social media stuff. I want to read everything available in the language. Damn it. This is the cursing edition of Changing Scripts, and now we're going to show you a black screen. Satyen!